I've been a mortician for over 35 years and people ask me questions all the time. Today's question, definitely in the top 5 questions I get, if not in the top 3. We're going to get into it in just a moment, but first of all, thank you for tuning into this episode of Funeral Home Confessions. My name is Morty Stein. I am your host, and I answer your questions about death, funerals, cremations, what really goes on behind closed doors of a funeral home. You got a question you want to know? Do you have a question you want to ask me? Just leave it right down there in the comments and we'll get to your questions. Before we get into today's question, just hit that like button for me if you could. And also subscribe to the channel. It helps me out, helps the channel out, and you'd be doing this guy a favor. So I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button. So today's question, is there a season of death? Actually, yes, there is. We do have what we call our busy season. As a matter of fact, I used to work for a corporately owned funeral home many years ago, and during this time, we weren't allowed to take any time off or vacation time because it was considered our busy season. So what is the busy season? It could actually change from areas in the country and in other countries. It's different. So I'm only speaking on my experience and what I've experienced from me and my funeral home. And all the experiences that I've had in the funeral homes that I've worked at, the busiest season that we have is usually November 1st to February 1st, during the winter months when the weather changes. There's a lot of factors to that. A lot of times when the weather changes and it starts getting colder, people with compromised immune systems get colds, flus that turn into pneumonias. They pass away from respiratory diseases, even influenza. There's actually a lot of reported deaths on influenza from getting colds and flus during the winter season. Also during the winter season, we also see an uptick in deaths because people that are diagnosed with terminal illnesses like cancer and other terminal illnesses, they get diagnosed and they try to hang on for one last holiday with their family and their loved ones. Once the holidays pass, after Thanksgiving, after Christmas, they usually kind of let go and they pass away after the holidays. Also, in my experience, during the holidays, we also have a very high accident and suicide rate, which kind of surprised me, but then it didn't, because around the holidays, there's a lot of depression. The people that go out and they go to a lot of holiday parties and they tend to have one too many and they drink and they get in accidents. And unfortunately, some of these accidents result in fatal accidents. Like I said, in other parts of the country, it may be different. I've actually heard from a psychology of death and dying instructor that he said that from his experience that he found that the busiest time of death was around April, around the springtime. And that could be true as well. So it just kind of depends on where you are. I've also read reports from the National Institute of Health that the highest deaths from accidents actually happen during the summer. So like I said, I'm just speaking from my experience. I appreciate your questions. You got a question you want me to answer? Leave it right there in the comments and we'll answer your questions right here on Funeral Home Confessions.